I've always heard people talk about wedding days like they're supposed to feel magical, enchanted, blessed, as if the universe aligns for one single day and opens its arms to your future. But my wedding day felt like a warning I didn't know how to interpret. It wasn't cold feet or nerves, it was something else. Something heavier. Like the air itself knew something I didn't. The morning started beautifully: blue sky, soft breeze, my daughter twirling in her flower girl dress, my hair pinned with delicate pearls. Everything looked perfect, the kind of perfect that exists in photos but never in reality. I should have known even then. Mark was unusually quiet that morning. Not the sweet, overwhelmed quiet some grooms get, no, this was the eyes avoiding, handshaking, phone-checking quiet. I chalked it up to nerves, but his sister, Madison, kept giving him these strange, knowing looks. The kind only women with secrets give. Of course, Madison had never liked me. She thought her family was above mine, that I wasn't good enough for her precious brother, that my daughter from my previous relationship was baggage. Her mother, Patricia, agreed. They never said it out loud, they didn't have to. Their smiles carried enough venom. But nothing in the world could have prepared me for how deeply their poison ran. The ceremony went smoothly. Almost suspiciously so. My daughter dropped petals, I walked the aisle, Mark waited with the expression of a man who wanted to be anywhere but there. But when he held my hands, he squeezed them a little too hard, as if grounding himself. I thought it was love. Later, I'd learn it was guilt. The reception was loud, full of dancing and champagne, the kind of night you think you'll cherish forever. I remember laughing with my coworkers, dancing with my daughter, greeting relatives I hadn't seen in years. Mark wandered between tables, but every so often, I'd catch him glancing toward the hotel elevators near the lobby. At the time, I thought nothing of it. I was too busy making sure the DJ didn't kill the mood and that my daughter didn't spill chocolate fountain all over her dress. But something was off. Even our photographer noticed. "Your husband okay?" she whispered once, adjusting her lens. "He's just overwhelmed," I said. Her eyebrow lifted. "Looks more like he's waiting for something." She wasn't wrong. Around 10:45 p.m., Mark disappeared. One moment he was at the bar talking to his groomsmen, the next he was gone. I walked around the reception hall, checked the hallway, checked the patio. Nothing. His phone went straight to voicemail. I found Madison at the dessert table. "Have you seen Mark?" She shrugged. "Probably needed air. He gets like that." "He gets like what?" She smirked. "Cold feet, even after marriage." I stared at her. "Is that supposed to be funny?" She didn't answer. She just turned and whispered something to Patricia, who gave me a pitying look. The kind people give right before delivering bad news. My stomach twisted. 15 minutes passed. Then 20. Then 40. Guests began asking questions. "Where's the groom? Is he okay? Did he leave? Did he pass out?" My daughter tugged on my dress. "Mommy, where's Daddy?" Every cell in my body screamed that something was very, very wrong. Finally, I checked with the hotel staff. "Ma'am," the manager said, "your husband requested a keycard to room 412 about an hour ago." My heart stopped. "Room 412? I repeated. "Our suite is 815. "Yes," he said slowly. "He asked specifically for 412. Said he needed privacy." Privacy. That word stabbed harder than any knife could. I walked toward the elevator, my pulse pounding, my breath shallow. The manager followed, concerned. A few guests trailed behind me, whispering. Madison and Patricia stayed back, but their faces. They weren't confused. They weren't worried. They knew. They knew. That realization nearly buckled my knees. I rode the elevator in silence, each floor like a countdown to hell. I could feel the truth pressing against my chest, begging to be acknowledged, begging to be unleashed. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. The hallway on the fourth floor was quiet, dimly lit, the kind of place secrets thrive. I walked toward room 412. The keycard light glowed under the door. Voices murmured inside. A soft laugh. A woman's laugh. I froze. No. No, God, please. I pressed my ear to the door. More laughter. Movement. A low moan. The kind only lovers make. My vision blurred, not with tears, those hadn't arrived yet, but with a rage so deep it felt bone deep, ancestral. I knocked once. No answer. Twice. More whispering. Then I swiped the emergency card the manager had given me. The door clicked open. And there he was. Mark. My husband. On our wedding night. In our tuxedo shirt, untucked, half unbuttoned, flushed. And in the bed. Not a stranger. Not an ex. But Madison. His sister. His own sister. She was in lingerie. Her hair tousled. Her lipstick smeared. But her expression? Not embarrassed. Not ashamed. Triumphant. She smirked and said, "You weren't supposed to find out like this." I couldn't breathe. My mind couldn't process the image, my groom in a hotel room bed with his own sister, her hand still resting on his thigh, his face drained of blood. Mark choked out, it's not what it." "Say it," Madison hissed. "Say it's not what it looks like." I walked into the room slowly, numbness masking the volcanic eruption inside me. I said to Madison, "planned this." She smirked. "Planned? Honey, this has been going on for years. He just finally chose me." Chose me. The room spun. "You're sick," I whispered. Madison laughed softly. "You married into this family. You didn't think we were normal, did you?" My gaze shot to Mark. "You slept with your sister. On our wedding night." He covered his face. "Please. I didn't want you to see." "To see what?" I snapped. "The incest? The betrayal? The humiliation?" Madison crawled off the bed slowly, unbothered, like she was stretching after a yoga class. "Face it," she said. "He never loved you." "Not really. You were a placeholder." "You're disgusting," I said. She stepped closer. "And you're boring." I slapped her. Hard. The sound cracked through the room like a gunshot. Before she could respond, I held up a hand. "No. Listen. The next time you open your mouth, it better be to confess in front of a judge." She paled. "You wouldn't." "Oh," I said, leaning in, "I absolutely would." Mark whispered, "Please, don't ruin us." I laughed. Actually laughed. "You ruined us," I said. "You ruined everything." Madison grabbed her robe and hissed, "You'll regret this." "No," I said. "You will." Then I grabbed Mark's wedding band off the nightstand, walked toward the door, and turned one last time. "Congratulations," I said calmly. "You two deserve each other." I walked out. Down the hall. Into the elevator. Into a new life. A life where I planned the funeral of their entire dynasty. And tomorrow? Tomorrow, I would start the war. The morning after my wedding should have been the moment I woke up beside my new husband, wrapped in a sheet of fresh promises. Instead, I woke up alone on my living room couch, still wearing half my gown, mascara dried on my cheeks like war paint. The wedding ring I ripped off last night sat on the coffee table beside me like an artifact from a civilization that had just collapsed. My daughter slept upstairs, unaware of the implosion. She had gone to bed before the nightmare unfolded. I would have to tell her something eventually, but not today. Today wasn't for explanations. Today was for destruction. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Mark called. Madison called. Even Patricia called. I silenced every one of them. When I finally stood, my entire body ached, but not from the wedding, no, from the violent collision of betrayal and clarity. Pain mixed with purpose. Grief fused with anger. The kind of clarity you only get when you've seen something you can never unsee. And I had seen everything. At 9:12 a.m., the pounding on my door started. I didn't answer. Mark's voice came through the wood, cracking, frantic. Please, open the door. Please. We need to talk. I almost laughed. Talk. He wanted to talk. Last night, when he was in bed with his own sister, he hadn't seemed interested in talking. The pounding grew louder. Please. Just give me 5 minutes. I unlocked the door without opening it. I wanted him to walk into my terms, not the other way around. When he stepped inside, he looked destroyed, hair a mess, eyes red, suit wrinkled, face pale. He smelled like cheap hotel soap and guilt. I didn't invite him to sit. I didn't care if he collapsed. He murmured, I don't know where to begin. Begin with the incest, I said. That seems like a logical starting point. He flinched so hard he swayed. I didn't mean, it's not, God, you don't understand. Oh, trust me, I snapped. I understand perfectly. You cheated on your wedding night. With your sister. In a hotel room you requested. While our guests wondered why the groom disappeared. He winced. I wasn't thinking. No, I said. You were feeling. He closed his eyes. Madison seduced me. And you tripped and fell into her lingerie? I shot back. Try again. He sank onto the edge of the couch, head in his hands. We grew close. Over the years. Too close. I stared. Over the years. So this wasn't a mistake. It was a relationship. He didn't deny it. Which was worse than denial. I stepped closer, voice low. Mark, how long has this been going on? Silence. Then a shaky whisper. Since I was 20. I staggered backward as if struck. 20? I repeated, barely breathing. 20? He nodded, shaking. I tried to stop it. I swear. I tried. But Madison, she always knew how to pull me back. I stared at him, a horrifying truth dawning. You're telling me this started before your first marriage? He nodded. And during your first marriage? Another nod. And during ours? He didn't speak, but his silence was the most honest thing he'd ever given me. Revulsion clawed its way through me. Does your mother know? His answer. Yes. I froze. Everything clicked into place, Patricia's coldness toward me, her obsession with controlling Mark, her resentment of any woman he loved, her strange overprotective attitude toward her daughter. Patricia has known since the beginning? I whispered. He nodded again. That was it. The final puzzle piece. Patricia hadn't been protecting her family. She'd been enabling a sickness. Mark finally looked up, eyes filled with terror. Please don't tell anyone. I laughed, a sharp, cutting, humorless sound. You think I'm protecting you? You think I'm protecting them? He swallowed. It'll ruin us. You're not listening, I said softly. There is no us left to ruin. He reached for my hand. I pulled away like he was radioactive. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't want you to find out like this. You shouldn't have wanted to do it in the first place, I said. He bowed his head, shoulders shaking. For a moment, the room was silent, until another knock sounded at the door. A soft, precise knock. Patricia's knock. I looked at Mark. You invited her here? He shook his head. She insisted. I walked to the door and opened it. Patricia stood there in a pristine beige coat, pearl earrings, hair sculpted like she was attending a charity event rather than walking into the aftermath of her son's nightmarish scandal. When she saw me, she exhaled dramatically. Thank God. We need to contain this. Contain. Contain. Contain? I repeated. This isn't a minor spill in aisle 3, Patricia. This is your family committing felonies. She stiffened. Don't exaggerate. Exaggerate? I stepped aside so she could see Mark trembling on the couch. Your son slept with your daughter. She closed the door behind her and hissed, lower your voice. No. Her eyes flashed with that familiar cold entitlement. You need to calm down. I laughed. Me? Calm down? You hid this for decades. I didn't hide it, she snapped. I managed it. I stared. Managed incest. Good for you. Mother of the Year. She lunged forward. You listen to me. You will not destroy my family. No, I said. You destroyed it the day you covered for them. Mark whispered, Mom, please. She ignored him. If this gets out, it will ruin us all. You're worried about reputation, I said. I'm worried about my daughter growing up near this toxic circus. Patricia's eyes narrowed. You want a divorce? Fine. But you will leave quietly. No police. No courts. No exposure. Nothing public. I stepped closer, meeting her gaze dead on. Or what? She leaned in. Or I will take your daughter from you. That was it. The match. The spark. The trigger. I didn't slap her. I didn't scream. I didn't break down. I smiled. A slow, controlled, icy smile. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. Her face faltered. What? I walked past her, grabbed my bag, and opened the door. Both of you, get out of my house. Mark stood slowly. Can we please? Get out. Patricia grabbed his arm. Come on, sweetheart. As they left, I said one final thing. Oh, and Patricia? You can try to take my daughter. But when I reveal what your family legacy really looks like, you won't even be allowed to visit a goldfish. Her face whitened. She knew I meant it. Mark looked back once, eyes full of regret. But regret wasn't enough. When they were gone, I locked the door and took a deep breath. I wasn't falling apart. I wasn't breaking down. I was preparing. Because the war had officially begun. And tomorrow? Tomorrow, I would make the first move. And the move would shake their entire bloodline. The next 48 hours felt like I was living inside a storm, one of those slow-moving, rotating disasters that rip apart everything in their path but leave the survivor standing with a strange, terrifying clarity. I barely slept. I barely ate. My heart beat differently now, not with fear, but with purpose. With strategy. When I woke up Monday morning, sunlight was creeping through the blinds as if testing whether it was safe to come in. I didn't feel broken anymore. I felt something closer to powerful. Quietly powerful. The kind of power that comes after devastation, when a woman rebuilds not from emotion but from absolute determination. My daughter was still asleep. Good. She didn't need to see what was about to happen. I grabbed my laptop and sat at the dining table, the same table where I had once imagined building a life with Mark. Now it was my command center. My war room. The first thing I did was email Rachel. Subject, urgent. Message, we need to dig deeper on Patricia. Everything. Past marriages, tax records, sealed cases, CPS involvement, whatever exists, find it. Rachel responded within 3 minutes. Already on it. Of course she was. Rachel didn't wait for fires, she lit them. While she investigated Patricia, I made my own list. Madison's employment. Madison's mental health history. Mark's previous relationships. Family therapy notes, if any existed. Patricia's connections in the legal system. Old news archives. Property records. If I was going to burn the Ellison dynasty down, I needed the matches and the gasoline. Around noon, Rachel called me. Her voice was like jet fuel poured over a spark. We found something. I leaned forward. Tell me. Patricia has a sealed incident report from 20 years ago. My heart kicked. What kind of report? Child Protective Services. I shot to my feet. For who? Madison. The room tilted. What happened? Rachel exhaled slowly. It's sealed, but we have enough metadata to figure out the outline. Patricia reported Madison for inappropriate behavior toward Mark when they were both teenagers. My blood chilled. She reported her own daughter? Yes. But then, 2 weeks later, Patricia withdrew the complaint. Of course she did, I whispered. She buried it, Rachel said. She buried the entire thing. I sank into my chair. That means Patricia knew about them from the beginning. She didn't just know, Rachel said. She tried to stop it once, then changed her mind. Why would she change her mind? Because controlling a sick, toxic dynamic gave her leverage over both of them, Rachel said. She weaponized their weakness. Weaponized. That was the perfect word. Patricia didn't raise children, she cultivated tools. Rachel continued, we also found financial records linking Madison to a series of therapy sessions paid for by Patricia. Some kind of behavioral intervention. Did it work? I asked. Clearly not, Rachel said dryly. I took a breath. Anything on Mark? Rachel hesitated. Yes. My pulse quickened. What? He saw a school counselor at 15. Reported boundary issues at home. I sat very still. Boundary issues meaning? We can't see it, Rachel said. But we can guess. Madison didn't just grow close to Mark. She groomed him. My stomach twisted. The betrayal wasn't just marital, it was psychological. Years of it. And Patricia? She had molded the sickness to control both children like a puppeteer. No marriage could compete with decades of conditioning. Rachel lowered her voice. Listen. You need to hear this carefully. What happened between Mark and Madison might not be consensual the way you think it is. I know, I whispered. I realized that last night. Good, she said gently. Because this is more than infidelity. This is family trauma that Patricia curated. I pressed my fingers to my temples. What's our move? Rachel's voice sharpened. Expose Patricia. She's the root. How? With receipts. I picked up my daughter after school, took her to the park, and let her run through the grass while I sat on the bench, scrolling through documents Rachel had sent. Every line felt like cutting deeper into a wound, but the wound wasn't mine. It was theirs. And the infection finally had a name, Patricia. When we got home that evening, I heated dinner while my daughter colored at the table. Then, as I was washing dishes, headlights flashed through the window. A car. A familiar one. Mark's. Oh God, I muttered. Before I could reach the door, he knocked. This time I opened it, not for him, but to end this cycle. He looked worse than before. Unshaven. Dark circles under his eyes. Shirt wrinkled. A man clearly unraveling. Please, he said. I need to talk. I stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind me. Fine. Talk. He swallowed hard. Madison tried to hurt herself. My breath caught. How? She cut her arm. I inhaled sharply. Not pity, just the shock of realizing Patricia's house of cards was starting to collapse under its own weight. Is she alive? I asked coldly. Yes, he whispered. Mom called an ambulance. I nodded. Okay. He stared at me, pleading. You don't care? I care, I said. But I'm not responsible for the consequences of a system your mother created. He looked broken. Everything is falling apart. That's what happens when lies rot for too long. He ran a hand over his face. Mom wants to talk to you. I laughed outright. Of course she does. She knows I'm the match that lit this. She said she wants to apologize. Oh, please, I said. Patricia doesn't apologize. She calculates. He didn't deny it. He whispered, I read the old CPS papers. The ones Mom hid. I had no idea. I know, I said quietly. He sank onto the porch step. I'm a monster. No, I said. You were made into one. He looked up slowly, eyes filling. She did this to us, he whispered. She made us depend on her. She kept us twisted so we couldn't leave. And now? I asked. I want out. I crossed my arms. Then testify. His head jerked up. What? Testify, I repeated. Swear everything under oath. Expose Patricia. Expose Madison. Expose the grooming, the control, the manipulation, everything. I can't, he choked out. It'll destroy my family. I stepped closer. It already is. He stared at me, trembling. This is your chance to be human again, I said softly. To stop her cycle. To protect your daughter from Patricia. To reclaim your life. He swallowed hard. If I testify, what happens to Madison? She gets help, I said. Real help. Not Patricia's version of help. And you get distance. And you, he whispered. I get freedom, I said. From all of you. He shut his eyes. Then, finally. Okay. I'll do it. I nodded once. Good. Then I said the sentence that would change everything. Tomorrow morning, we go to court. The next day came fast. Mark and I didn't ride together. I didn't hold his hand. He wasn't my husband anymore, he was a witness. A damaged, broken witness, but a necessary one. Patricia arrived with lawyers, 2 of them. She looked furious, insulted, wounded. How dare someone challenge her empire? Madison didn't come. She was in psychiatric observation. The judge entered. Proceed. Rachel stood. Your Honor, my client has new evidence. She handed the judge the CPS metadata, the therapy payments, the sealed documents, the timeline, the pattern. Then Mark stood. And I watched a grown man finally speak truth for the first time in his life. His voice trembled at first, then steadied. My mother controlled everything, he said. She pitted us against each other. She made excuses. She denied what was happening. She buried reports. She prevented intervention. None of this was normal. Patricia shot up. He's lying. The judge glared. Sit down, Mrs. Ellison. She sat. Mark continued. I'm not defending myself. I'm telling the truth. I'm ashamed. I'm disgusted. But I'm done being her puppet. Silence. Complete. Then the judge said, based on this testimony, we are opening a formal investigation into Patricia Ellison. Patricia gasped. You can't investigate me. I can, the judge said. And I will. He pounded the gavel. And just like that, the Ellison dynasty cracked. Not because of me, but because their own son finally broke the silence. Outside the courtroom, Mark stopped me. Thank you, he said softly. For what? For saving me from her. I nodded. Save yourself now. He whispered, can we ever? No, I said gently. But you can heal. And that's enough. He nodded and walked away, shoulders lighter than I'd ever seen them. I walked to my car, breathing in the crisp morning air. Patricia was screaming behind us, shouting she'd sue everyone, destroy everyone, reclaim her legacy. But she wouldn't. Because the truth was louder. And as I opened my car door, I whispered to myself, it's done. The morning of the final hearing felt different from every other day in this war. Not because I wasn't afraid, not because I thought victory was guaranteed, but because for the first time in weeks, the fear wasn't mine. It belonged to them. Patricia. Madison. Even Mark. Their dynasty wasn't just cracking, it was collapsing. And they all knew who pushed the first domino. I left my daughter with a sitter, kissed her goodbye, and walked out of the house with the calm of a woman who'd already won. Not through noise. Not through chaos. Through truth. But truth alone doesn't destroy people like Patricia. Exposure does. When I arrived at the courthouse, the parking lot was full. Reporters. Neighbors. Curiosity vultures attracted by the scent of scandal. Someone must have leaked the investigation. Maybe a clerk. Maybe an officer. Maybe karma itself. Rachel met me at the steps. You ready? I was born ready for this, I said quietly. She smirked. Then let's finish it. Inside, the courtroom buzzed with whispers. Patricia sat at the respondents' table, stiff, furious, trembling, not with fear, but with indignation. How dare anyone challenge her empire? How dare the world attempt to humble her? Her pearl necklace sat perfectly centered, her hair sculpted like armor, but her eyes looked feral. Mark sat beside her, pale, hollow, hands shaking. He wouldn't meet my gaze. Shame hung over him like a soaked wool blanket. Madison wasn't present. She was still on psychiatric hold after her breakdown. For once, she was beyond Patricia's reach. When the judge entered, the room fell silent. We are here to finalize the emergency motions and to determine custody, protective orders, and potential criminal referrals, he said. Patricia rose before anyone else could speak. Your Honor, this entire circus is the product of a vindictive woman using my son's vulnerabilities to destroy him. This is manipulation. Retaliation. A vendetta. Rachel stood so fast her chair barely made a sound. Your Honor, I have a surprise witness. Patricia froze mid-sentence. The judge lifted an eyebrow. A surprise witness? Rachel nodded. Given the gravity of the matter, and the ongoing investigation, we believe this individual's testimony is essential. The judge gestured. Proceed. The courtroom doors opened. And in walked a woman I didn't recognize, but Patricia did. Her face drained of blood. The woman sat on the witness stand, hands folded. Rachel approached calmly. Please state your name. Dr. Evelyn Ward. And your profession, Dr. Ward? I'm a licensed family trauma psychologist. For 28 years, I've worked with victims of intrafamilial abuse. Patricia shot up. No. The judge slammed the gavel. Sit. Down. Patricia sat. Rachel turned to the witness. Dr. Ward, you treated Madison Ellison as a teenager, correct? Yes. And Mark Ellison as well? Yes. And who brought them to you? Patricia. The courtroom inhaled collectively. Rachel's voice stayed level. Dr. Ward, without revealing sealed notes, can you confirm whether there was concern about inappropriate sibling dynamics? Yes, the psychologist said. Significant concern. Patricia screamed, lies. The judge barked, Mrs. Ellison, you are seconds from being removed. Dr. Ward continued, unbothered. Patricia withdrew treatment suddenly. Against medical advice. Why? Rachel asked. Because I recommended mandatory intervention and investigation. So Patricia ended therapy, Rachel clarified, to prevent the authorities from getting involved? Yes. Patricia lunged forward. I protected my children. No, Dr. Ward said, meeting her eyes. You protected yourself. Silence. Heavier than any silence so far. Rachel nodded. No further questions. The judge looked genuinely disturbed. Mrs. Ellison, do you have counsel wishing to cross-examine? Patricia's attorney stuttered, we decline. Of course they did. Everything was unraveling. Then the judge turned to Mark. Mr. Ellison, please rise. Mark rose slowly, shoulders hunched. You admitted to a long-term inappropriate relationship with your sister. Do you stand by that testimony? Mark nodded. Yes, Your Honor. And you now acknowledge that Patricia's influence prevented intervention? Yes. Do you believe your mother's actions harmed your mental development? Mark swallowed hard. Yes. Do you believe your wife, he glanced at me, and your daughter are unsafe under Patricia's influence? Mark broke. Completely broke. Tears streaming down, voice shattering. Yes, he whispered. God, yes. I don't want my daughter to be raised anywhere near her. Patricia shot up so violently her chair toppled, clattering across the floor. How dare you, she shrieked. I raised you. I saved you. You controlled me, Mark cried. You controlled both of us. The judge banged the gavel. That is enough. Patricia trembled with rage, ripping at the pearls on her neck. You ungrateful children. Everything I did was to keep this family quiet? I said softly. The entire room turned toward me. I stood slowly, intentionally, meeting Patricia's eyes with a calm so cold it could freeze oceans. You didn't build a family, I said. You built a prison. And you expected everyone to thank you for locking the doors. Patricia's face contorted. You ruined everything. No, I said. I exposed everything. She lunged toward me. Two officers grabbed her instantly, restraining her as she thrashed, her screams echoing through the courtroom like a wild animal caught in a trap. The judge's voice thundered, Bailiffs, remove her. The officers dragged Patricia out of the courtroom, kicking, screaming, spitting, her perfect image shattered forever. The courtroom exhaled as the door slammed behind her. The judge wiped his forehead. Good God. Let's continue. He turned to me. Mrs. Ellison. I've reviewed the evidence, the testimony, and the psychological risk posed by the Ellison household. He paused. Then delivered the sentence that ended their dynasty. You are awarded full legal and physical custody of your daughter, exclusive rights to the marital home, and protective distance from Patricia Ellison for an indefinite period. A wave of relief hit me so hard I nearly lost my breath. Mark sank into his seat, sobbing quietly, not in defeat, but in release. The judge continued, furthermore, Mark Ellison is ordered into mandatory therapy and evaluation. Visitation is permitted but will be supervised until further notice. Mark nodded, broken, but finally free. And lastly, the judge said, the court is formally recommending that the district attorney review Patricia Ellison for criminal negligence, psychological abuse, and obstruction of mandated intervention. Gasps. Whispers. Shock rippled across the room. Patricia was going to be investigated criminally. The empire she built on fear and manipulation was collapsing brick by brick. The judge banged his gavel. Court is adjourned. Just like that. It was done. Rachel squeezed my arm. You won. Completely. I know, I whispered. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, but I ignored them. I walked toward my car, breathing for what felt like the first time in my life. Mark called after me. Wait. I turned. He approached slowly, hands shaking. Thank you for saving my daughter. And me. I didn't save you, I said. You saved yourself when you finally told the truth. He nodded, tears falling. Can we ever? No, I said gently. But you can heal. And I pointed toward the courthouse doors, can never hurt us again. He gave a small, broken smile. I'm glad you're going to be okay. I'm not just okay, I said softly. I'm free. He nodded. I got into my car, closed the door, inhaled deeply, and let everything inside me settle. The truth had destroyed them. And rebuilt me. As I pulled away from the courthouse, sunlight hit the windshield in a warm glow. And for the first time since the wedding, I whispered. It's finally over. And it was.